Yesterday, I put out a video asking the question, what is a bank? That post was prompted by a letter that Senator Elizabeth Warren sent to the Office of Comptroller of Currency, the OCC, demanding answers as to why the OCC had approved 9 trust charters to crypto firms. She pushes back and says that these trust charters are basically giving these crypto firms a green light to act as banks without having to go through the full regulatory compliance that is required for a bank charter. Well, this story got some legs last night, and there was a response that was posted by the CEO of BitGo. And the CEO of BitGo, Mike Belshi, basically pushed back on Warren and said that you're wrong. These crypto firms are actually more stable than banks because they don't hold money in fractional reserve deposits. They actually hold customer funds in segregated accounts that are bankruptcy protected. For those of you who don't know, when a bank holds your money in a fractional reserve model, they lend out your money and they don't actually have it on hand when you want it back. That's why there has to be FDIC insurance. Well, Mike Belshi from BitGo pushes back on Elizabeth Warren and says, number one, we need to redefine the definition of a bank because you're calling us crypto banks, and that's really kind of a vague thing to call us because we're not engaged in traditional banking. So there's one debate. And to make this even more convoluted, the White House issued an executive order where Trump is instructing the Fed and the OCC to re-examine whether these crypto banks, these trust charter banks, whether they should be granted full access to Fedwire. Fedwire is something that's reserved to banks. The notion of crypto banks, as Elizabeth Warren calls them, getting access to Fedwire is completely turning the financial system on its head and as we know it, which is why I begged that question yesterday. What is a bank? Because one thing that digital assets is doing is it's causing us to have to revisit how we think about banks. And that's something we haven't had to do for well over 100 years. Now, regardless of how this whole thing gets resolved between the quote crypto banks and Elizabeth Warren and the OCC and the White House's executive order directing the OCC to re-examine all of this, I do know one thing. You don't have to wait for that to get hashed out. Because under the Genius Act, when it goes live and we have fully regulated stablecoins, you can make your wallet your bank. You don't have to depend on the banks and their fees. You can custody and move money and spend money on your terms. That's the kind of financial freedom that I'm fighting for in my book, Make Your Wallet Your Bank. Take a look at it. If you vibe with it, join the community, and let's figure this thing out together so you can spend in stables, save money, and use that money for your bottom line, not the banks.